it, but I'm always going to do it. These are PFF grades. It doesn't mean it's the gospel. I like looking at PFF grades. I like looking at the NFL Pro data. I like watching the tape and kind of take everything, throw it in the pot, and it gives you the real story on what happened each and every Sunday. So the Packers' overall grade, a 71.0. Offense got a 60.3. The defense got a 72.4. I think that kind of catches people off guard a little bit. You would think the defense played really bad, right? But
based on the nonsense you heard from talking heads, you would believe that.
Exactly. So passing grade 58.4, pass blocking 81.9, receiving grade of 63.1, running grade of 63.6, run blocking grade of 45.9. On defense, run defense grade 76.4, tackle grade of 73.9, pass rush grade of 73.8, coverage grade of 64.6, special teams grade of 63.9. Boy, you ain't heard much about Fire Rich Bisaccia here lately, have
we? No, we really haven't. And if we have heard anything, we try to let it go in one ear and out the other, right? Because we know the truth. We know what Rich is doing, and it's so much more than just special teams, right? What he brings to the organization and the value and leadership that he brings. And honestly, I think these past couple of games we're starting to turn the corner when it comes to teams, right? You know, we see a 45-5, 38-5 prior. The last 2 weeks we've been well above 60, and we'll take that all day. So you got to give credit when credit's due. You can't just bash the guy whenever we struggle. You know, you've got to call it like you see it. And you know, I will say this with PFF, special teams grades usually seem to be pretty much on par with what we've seen out on the field. We can question some of these other breakdowns sometimes, but the special teams grade is kind of cut and dry, and the tail is in the tape. You know, good start. We kind of plateaued, and now we're getting back on track here, grading above 60s, which I've always said special teams, when you have the talent pool that we have, you're going to have starters out there playing special teams. You've got a stacked roster with a lot of young talent, and I don't care if we're not a top 10 or top 15 special teams unit as long as we're not a dumpster fire, and that's what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, I love what Drew D says too, Tim. Look how the pass blocking is getting better every week. Like when you look at the pass blocking, 65, 70, 15, 67, 78, 81. So it's improved 3 weeks in a row now.
Yep.
That's a great sign. Also, the run defense grade has been pretty solid here lately too, a 79, then a 76 yesterday. Same thing with the tackle grade. Tackle grade has gone up 3 weeks in a row as well. Looks like
we had another good game out of Jordan Morgan again. Be interesting to see what PFF had him at. He looked pretty good out there yesterday.
Let's dive into it, man. Let's see if we can figure out who were the top graded Green Bay Packers in this matchup against the Arizona Cardinals. Trying to get it here zoomed in as much as I can for you guys and gals. So at the top of the list, Tim, even though he's still battling that oblique injury, 74.3 for Zach Tom. All right. You had Rasheed Walker at a 72.1, Josh Jacobs at a 71.2, Matthew Golden, boys and girls, 67.1. Let's go. Romeo Dobbs, 65.8. Aaron Banks had a pretty good day, 65.5. Pass blocking grade of 83.9. Wow. Tucker Kraft, 65.1. So he's looking pretty solid there, 70.4 in the passing game. It was his run blocking that really dinged his grade quite a bit there at a 46.2. Emmanuel Wilson, 60.7. Chris Brooks, 58.2. Elton Jenkins, 55.1. So that's kind of the tough thing to see there. What's wild is the Jordan Love stuff, right? He got graded a 53.5.
Whatever.
I'm looking at that going, I'm trying to think, what was his worst pass of the day? I can't think of, there's not one that sticks out to me, you know? Like you could find one the previous game where he was graded much higher, and you got the interception as a boneheaded throw right there, right? Yep. So that's just pretty wild to me that he graded out a 53.5. Based off what I've seen, I would definitely disagree with that grade. Again, I thought he played pretty good football. I thought he played the offense, the hand he was dealt, and did pretty well. So, Go ahead, Jake.
Nothing. What kind of pops off the page to me is Jordan Morgan way down there at 17th with a total overall of 34.8. But look at the pass blocking grade.
That's why I thought he would have graded out better. I felt like he looked really good in the pass.
And I've heard Ryan. I've listened to Ryan for years now. Gosh, almost 8 years, I think. And as much as he loves PFF, he will call them out when he's like, how does this, if you get a 76.7, average it out with, even if the run blocking is 27.3, like that to me, that's not a happy medium. The math don't meet. Yeah, the math don't math there, buddy. And that's
I
just,
like what Drew D's saying though. Oh, it's the 2 fumbles, but even though we lost neither of them, right? We had a
Could
botched
be.
snap, and we had Jordan took a shot and was able to recover his own fumble. I don't understand why that would knock him that low on his PFF grade.
Yeah. Chester Marco in the chat. Our Chester Marco, not the Chester Marco. I think he's still in the clink list.
Do a little tooting.
Jenkins looked gassed out there last night, he said. Did you guys feel like that? I didn't really pay much attention to Elton Jenkins. I do know this. He doesn't look – it looks like his best football is behind him, and it's kind of looked like that the last couple of years to me. And I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But did y'all feel like he looked a little gassed last night or no?
Yeah, a little bit.
I think it's fair to say that.
And I think the grade on him is probably fair. But again, 71.3 in the pass pro, that's what we need out of Big E.
J. Cole 249 says, remember, these are Uber drivers grading players. Great point. All right, let's look at them on the season real quick, okay? So you got Zach Tom, right, on the year. So his grade so far, 65, 60, 65, 60, 75, and 74. So his grade now on the season is showing a 76 currently. So throughout his career, Zach Tom, 68, 79, 85, 76. Keep in mind he's battling the oblique injury right now. So I thought that was very, very encouraging seeing him grade out of 74.3, just pretty solid across the board. Rasheed Walker got a 72.1. He did have a penalty there. So when you look at him on the season, this, according to PFF, that was his best game of the year, boys. 63, 69, 34, 64, 68, 72. So maybe he's turning the corner now and getting back up there where he should be, which last year he graded out of 68.7. This makes a lot of sense as to why they haven't given him a contract extension, right? It's just one of those things. He's going to get overpaid on the market, right, Tim? Like he's going to hit free agency and get paid a ton of money, and that's money that I don't think the Packers are willing to pay him, at least at this point.
And I think it speaks to why we're seeing the numbers and the increase in output that we're seeing, because he knows Jordan Morgan's breathing down his neck for that left tackle spot. And, we're not going to knock Sheed. He's going to give us the best he can while he's here. But I would agree with you. It's just, at this point, I think we're looking for a little bit more consistency there, especially if we're talking long-term plan, protecting QB1's blind side. So I think the writing's kind of on the wall, but I wouldn't put it past Rasheed Walker to make it real difficult on the Packers brass to make a decision here when it comes to his output on the field this season. There's a lot of football left, so we'll see.
If we were to try to find the positive here on Rasheed Walker, Jacob, I like what Debfish says. Walker does not get hurt. That dude really never misses a snap, does he?
Yep.
It is. Yeah. He's as a consistent Iron Man as any. I will go on record saying I have never understood the need or the emphasis to try to replace Walker. I think it's because I'm such a cheapskate. We got him in the 7th round. I thought that the PFF grades don't necessarily jump off the page. And unless you look at the pass blocking grades in there, I would argue they actually do. This last year, like you said, obviously he's kind of working through some stuff. I think that grade will improve if he has the snaps. In my opinion, I feel like that we should be looking to improve the offensive line in other spots first. But I understand left tackle, you always want to try to have that be, if not the anchor, one of the best positions that you can count on that offensive line. I just am a sucker for him. I'll always kind of have his back just because, like I said, I'm a bargain bin guy. Getting him in the 7th round, the way that he likes to quote unquote finish players off is he just always holds near to my heart, man. The guy is
he can block.
Holmes says it's because you don't pay him. Exactly, dude. I'm telling you. But like you said, I mean, much like John Runyon, he's going to go somewhere and get the bag, and
he will. Yeah, I believe that. He's got the measurables. He's got a whole lot of tape out there, and I'm sure just like every other team, that when they go to sign a free agent, hey, we can make them better, right?
Do you think it's possible that we still sign him, like Drew says here?
He says, Drew says it is certainly possible that we re-sign Walker for the right price. Yeah, and I try to put myself in their shoes, Drew. What would that contract look like, right? So if I'm Rasheed Walker and I've already rolled the dice, we're in week 7, and you're already risking getting hurt, right? And now your value is probably going down every week based off how you're playing in the Packers' eyes. So if they have offered a contract, which to the best of my knowledge, we haven't got that confirmed yet. There were reports of it. If you guys have confirmation, let me know. It's just, what amount would you be willing to pay him? Yeah. And the other thing is, when you talk about the blueprint, when you're modeling the roster out, what lineman are you going to pay? You paid Zach Tom, right? You can get Elton Jenkins off the books next year if you want to. Okay. You paid Aaron Banks, which he can come off the books fairly early too if you want to go that route, the way that's structured, much like Nate Hobbs. And of course, you got Jordan Morgan as a first round pick. So I think you're willing to pay 2 linemen top money, maybe 3. And as it sits right now, you basically got to make a decision, right? So if you're going to have to pay Rasheed Walker $20 million plus per year, I just can't get on board with it. I think Jordan Morgan can do what Rasheed Walker does at left tackle based off the few snaps we've seen him there. That's just me personally, and based off the college tape where he played left tackle. So
plus
again,
you're going to need money in the budget for a center too, long term.
All right.
Yeah.
And last week we were singing the praises of Jordan Morgan, right? He graded out well at right guard, and you guys know I was very vocal going into that game that hey, I feel like he's truly a left side of the line top offensive lineman. Well, here we are 1 game later, and he graded out bad, right? So, and again, there was no rotation there. Sean Ryan did not rotate to the best of my knowledge. So, 73, 41, 40, 67, 69, and 34 are Jordan Morgan's grades. So you're seeing he's been bad according to PFF just as much as he's been what we would consider good, right? So
I like what Fishy Things is saying here in the chat. If it comes down to it, I'm giving Quay a contract before Sheed.
And I think
that's a fair statement.
That's the type of conversations you got to have, right, Tim? Because you can't keep everybody. You got to kind of prioritize players. Like you got a list of players whose contracts are running out. Okay, who's the top priority, right? And you guys know how I look at it by specific positions, right? Edge and 3 tech, and on defense, those are your top priorities. On offense, it's quarterback and tackle, right? And then you move on to tier 2, right? Tier 2 would be, Mike backer, stack backer, 1 stack backer. I'd be willing to pay top money to, and a post safety. And obviously those guys rotate a lot now, move up in the box in the spur position from time to time. And then on offense, the only tier 2 position I really have on offense is center. I feel like center is that important. I really do.
And I think if you look at the output, that you're getting from Quay as a middle linebacker versus, to your point, what you're getting with Rasheed Walker, not a knock on Rasheed Walker at all, but you got to feel like your first round draft pick, Jordan Morgan, can step into that role and continue to protect J Money's blind side. So I think that's why I would go with Fishy Things there. And I would probably take Quay over Sheed if it was down to those 2 who's getting a contract.
Yeah. And I see people in the chat saying they would keep Rasheed Walker. Like, I think that's, trying to think of who that was.
That's Chuck Jagger saying. Now he's the Bears sucker.
He's trying to mess with us. I'm keeping Walker. They're both Walkers.
Hey,
Quay and Sheed. So we got to clarify.
By the way, now we can't say his name because it's the. Yeah. Well, no, I guess we can. We have to be very careful.
I'm
Bears so faking much. Thanks for doing that, Chris or Chuck. Thanks a lot.
Over here,
can I pose a scenario to you? And obviously this would never be able to be realistic unless you had a crystal ball and you could understand. Do you think that it would have been smarter if about a year ago you see the writing on the wall that Sheed necessarily isn't going to be a top 3, left tackle, but you want him to maybe be in the team scenario for the next maybe 3 to 4 years. You offer him a team friendly deal, him as a 7th rounder, not quite ready to hit the market. You keep Elton at left guard. You extend Myers for a 2-year type prove it contract, and then you fluctuate with whatever you have at right guard. Obviously, Tom's Tom. Do you see us being in a better position if we decided to go that route rather than throwing a bunch of bank at Banks, throwing Elton to center, playing the musical chairs with the left guard and right guard positions?
For me, we don't know what Banks is yet.
Yeah.
Right. We know who Goody thinks he is. The contract says it, right? So Aaron Banks has been hurt this entire time, and he's trying to get everything going. I would argue this is the first game where you feel like, okay, he's fully healthy, right? This is a first game where you go in and go, okay, to the best of my knowledge, he was on the injury report, but I didn't go into this week going, Aaron Banks still a little banged up. So it's like, okay, what do we have? He graded out a 65. Right, pass blocking grade. That Goody's always going to prioritize that.
Is there any way, Clayton? Are you able to bring up Josh Myers' current PFF grade as well as John Runyon's, and just
I can look it up on another screen here and tell you what it is for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Just because, I just am curious because as I'm sitting here talking out of my butt, maybe it was clearly the right move to move on from those guys. Drew D saying, I can't swallow the Myers pill. I understand it's a large pill. That is a horse pill to swallow. And I never thought I'd ever even be on the devil's advocate of making that argument. I'm just saying.
And nobody's going to badmouth Josh on this pod. We know that guy is a stand-up dude, a great teammate, but I'm with Drew D. I don't think that was the move. I really don't. I'm glad. I know what you're saying, Jacob, like putting Elton in as this plug and play kind of center because we know he can
just
handle
assuming
it.
That, he'd be.
And based on what we've seen thus far this year, I guess underwhelming would be the best way to sum it up, I guess, from a fan standpoint. But I certainly think if we rolled the dice again with old Josh, we'd be having a lot more podcasts talking about center play than we are.
Cole, J. Cole's talking about how the Jets line isn't good, and I believe Runyon, did he go to the Giants or the Philly? Giants.
Runyon went to the Giants, didn't he?
Yeah.
So I've got the grades for you. You ready for this, Jacob?
Yeah.
So Elton Jenkins is a 59.9 on the year. Okay. Josh Myers is a 59.0.
Jeez. Okay.
Now, pass blocking grade, Elton is a 71.3. Josh Myers is a 56.3.
Gotcha.
Okay.
That's terrible.
Run blocking grade, Elton is a 58.2. Josh Myers is a 53.2. So every grade across the board, Elton Jenkins is significantly better than Josh Myers, right? And, okay, let's look at penalties. Josh Myers, so far this year, has committed 4 penalties. Elton Jenkins has only committed 2. So Elton's beating him in every category. However, when we let Josh Myers walk, and I don't even know if this was an option, but you guys will remember if you go back and watch the show, I said I think Myers is going to warrant pretty good money on the market because he's a very physical. He's got all the measurables and everything.
6'5", 300. Yeah.
So when he went for the minimum contract, like $1.5 million on 1 year, or maybe it's 1 year, $2 million, something like that, right? I was very vocal, like, damn, I would have loved to have had him back at that number.
For that, yeah.
And for a backup center, and who knows, maybe you can put him at guard because he's got the size. Sometimes centers don't have the size to play other positions.
And who knows if they did that, they might have kept Big E at left guard and gave him another contract when he wanted it.
Could have been, right? And here's the other thing, too. Josh Myers, though, might have looked at that minimum contract with the Packers and said, the hell with that, I ain't signing it. I don't want to come back. Right.
Yeah,
we don't know the entire story there. And who can blame him, right? Go get a fresh start somewhere else and know that you'll get a fair shake at it. Not that he didn't get a fair shake here. It just didn't work out. But yeah, to answer your question, Jacob, Elton Jenkins is definitely the better player, but we got to be fair and mention that Elton Jenkins get paid a lot more money than Josh Myers is. Right. So for the dollar amount, dollar for dollar, who would be the better value? It would probably be Josh Myers just because Elton's getting paid so much.
Yeah.
But, then again, I don't know, man. For Elton, I think you wanted that veteran presence, and I think he will get better as the season goes along. I do. Because he did. The other reality is he missed all of camp. He missed all offseason, essentially, right? He kind of held out a little bit, whatever it may have been. So, all right. Well, there you go. There's your offensive side of things. Let's jump over